came from Cleburne, right? We're from Alvarado.
You're listening to another episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood.
Probably.
This is the place where you're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
All right. Now that the traffic issues are clear, Erica Vyers made it.
Yay.
Sometimes it's, we get caught here with the train a lot. I curse that train quite a bit because it seems like every half hour. And today I'm coming here and down go the arms. And I'm like, man, this is just perfect, and no train came. They just come down because, and it's like, give me a break. But anyway, we got Reach Across Johnson County today with Erica Vyers, and she's going to tell us what they do and what they're doing for this summer or in past summer. You have a whole bunch of events coming up, it sounds like, and we're going to talk about the services they provide and how you can help with that because it takes a lot of money, takes a lot of effort, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Yeah.
I'm really thankful for our grants that we have. Mm-hmm. I'm Erica Vyers. I'm the coalition coordinator for Reach Across Johnson County. And I grew up right here in Johnson County. And I'm married. I have 2 children that actually attend school here in Johnson County as well. So I'm not just,
This
part
is
of my
home.
job, but this is
Yeah.
my home.
Right.
As a resident, as a mom, it's important for an organization like Reach in our community.
Where is the headquarters of Reach, by the way?
Well, our office is in Cleburne. Not that we're there very much. We're usually out boots on the ground kind of work.
Sure.
And then we also have an office in Midlothian. We have a different chapter that's Reach Coalition. They do slightly different things. But our mission is to support safe and healthy choices vital to the well-being of our youth, families, community. And the coalition is comprised of members throughout Johnson County who have the desire to make a positive impact in their local communities by promoting mental wellness, working towards substance misuse prevention, and participating in other initiatives that improve community healthy outcomes. So we really partner with the community to become a part of the solution.
Well, I'm going to ask you a few questions about who your clients are and how does one become a client and who you work with and whatnot. Also, I believe, if I recall, you were part of that mental health seminar back in October, right?
Yes, and we'll be doing that again. I will give you a heads up on that
At
today.
Pathway again?
Yes, sir.
They're very generous with their space, I think.
They are.
Yes. Well, let's run through the sponsors real quick because they make this possible. And we'll do the nonprofit announcements about middle of the show because I've been real fortunate. We got enough sponsors that I need to hustle through them a little faster, I guess. Thank you, Daniel. CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. Check out CrossFitBurleson.com for programs, training, classes, membership plans, all that. It's right behind Stone City Soup, so if you're looking for it, that's where you'll be finding it. Also, Shandy, thank you very much for her real estate expertise. She's helping us with a house deal. So she's very knowledgeable. And she'll be on the show probably about midsummer, talk about real estate and the rates and whatever else. So she needs a little break. She ran for office and it's very taxing. So I gave her a little time off. But Shandy Stocksdale is who you need to talk to if you're moving in and around this area. Also, of course, Otto at our place. Everybody knows him. I was there yesterday. I'll be there later this week. He's very, very generous with his time and with his services to the community, and great food, great staff. I really like the staff because there's not a lot of turnover, which tells me a lot about Otto, So there you are. Our Place Restaurant, also Wild Cigar and Culture over on the Standard, right by the Doughboy Donuts and all that. And it's a great place for a quiet place to talk, have a drink, have a smoke. Has a great humidor. And it's good for Father's Day gifts coming up. I mean, we just passed Mother's Day. Well, it's time for Father's Day in about a month and get a gift card. You know any cigar smokers in your life?
I don't. Although, rumor has it, I heard my husband was over there smoking a cigar this while he was on his little trip.
Yeah, that's a good place to do it, though, because I like it because it's a quiet place. It's if they have the ball game on, but it's on mute, so it's not going to be blasting you out, and you can have a conversation there. And
That's nice.
That's where some of the BNI friends and I have one-to-ones. Greg and I've been there. Also, thank you to Tiffany Nico at the Local Life. I'll try to get her on about mid-June. She's always really busy, but summer is really busy for her, the Local Life magazine. Also, I think, if I recall, in June it's going to be the Local Heroes issue, which is very popular, where you can nominate somebody to who has served this community and get a little notice that they often don't get. But Local Life magazine goes to 30,000 homes, very direct marketing. You get great response. I advertise in it, and I get response. And so there you go. Tiffany at Local Life. And, of course, we know Gala at Southern Gym. They're open right now. Robin's over there. They just finished Mother's Day. I talked to them Saturday, when Robin came home, and they were busy. And they're going to be moving into that space downstairs in about 2 weeks. They're doing the last touches now, and she'll be really glad because it's just been an ordeal. Southern Gym, though, is a great inventory and great services for jewels, particularly with repairs. So check them out. Also, we have, there we go, Caleb Patino at First Due Detailing at 817-776-0478 or at firstduedetailing.com. He'll come to you with the power wash and the detailing, so you don't have to go take your car somewhere and have somebody pick you up and all this other stuff. He'll come to your home. He'll come to your business. He's doing Gala's car Thursday, I think. He was supposed to do it last week, but it got rained out or something like that. So that's really nice. I'm going to have him do Robin's car when she's up there at work. Also, thank you to Old Pro Roofing, John Williams, 817-734-2756. Old Pro has been around a long time. They're in Old Town Burleson. They're an Old Town Burleson business. John is the local representative, so 817-734-2756. Have them check your roof out. People think we've been lucky with the weather. We're not going to be lucky forever, so you need to make sure your roof is ship-shape for that. Eric and I are both in the BNI meetings, and the roofers get up, and then Lisa, who's coming up next, will get up, and Melissa will get up, and talk about all these roof problems. And I just want to run home and see if my house is still standing,
Well, I can vouch for this guy. He was out at my house today.
Really? What? You just having to check out the roof?
Well, I've been working with Melissa on getting a better price for my house insurance and my car insurance, and he came and looked at our roof and said, "Hey, y'all need a new roof."
Yeah, well, I had a new roof put on a 19, and you think, well, I'm good to go. No, damage accumulates over time, and you don't even notice it. So that's a good thing to have it checked out. But speaking of Melissa, over at Texas Farm Bureau, I can vouch for her because I had a good insurance company. I wasn't unhappy with mine, and she said, well, let me take a look, and if I can't do better by you, then I'll tell you. And she saved me about $50 a month on my home insurance, and about $40 a month on my car insurance, and that adds up, So, and I got better coverage as well. So,
I was going to say, I think she saved us about $200 between the two.
Oh yeah, and I would have saved more, but I was able to upgrade my life insurance, so it kind of washed out a little bit. The net though, with all the stuff we did, I save about $90 a month. So I appreciate what she does at 682-804-0534, 682-804-0534. Call her and she'll save you some money. And then Lisa, I got Lisa on Thursday, Lisa Smith, and she's a live wire. She's smiling because I know why, because she's such a she's a real force and in our little group, and God bless her, sweet as can be, and good woman. And Morris will probably be with her. They're a very accomplished couple. They're just, I like talking with them. They're very very interesting people to talk to. But they do at Stop Restoration. They check out for water damage. And, you think water damage is after an event of some sort, which it is sometimes, but a lot of times it's leaky appliances or something like that, and you don't even know you're being damaged, and then it gets moldy. And, not everybody can remove mold. You have to be certified and all this. So Lisa and Morris will come and tell us about what to look for, what they do on Thursday. And it'll be interesting because, like I said, they're very interesting people to talk to. As far as the nonprofits and the other stuff, we're going to do that in the middle of the show because I want to get onto this because we're here to talk about reach across Johnson County. How long has this organization been around?
Well, they've been around since the 80s. They really seen a need for it in Ellis County. Originally is where it started after an officer was killed in the line of duty.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So we primarily do youth prevention, alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs, but we do a lot of other stuff in the community to make a healthier, safer community.
Now, this is a nonprofit, right?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. And so who are your clients? That's the first question I should ask. Who are your clients?
Well, with our specific chapter, we do coalition work, which is more engaging the community and bringing people together in order to work towards those kinds of goals. Now, our programs out of Ellis County, we do youth programs, and they do work with recovery as well, with substances. So,
yeah, these people in Ellis County, anyway, young people you go through, like, not so much a rehab, but like maybe re-education and helps to prevent this kind of activity from occurring again, and self-help type of situations.
Right. And then and more recently, in the last couple of years or so, the state has given us COVID funding to help with some of the mental issues that have come up from that. It seems like a lot of people are really having a hard time, whether it be like loss of job, loss of loved ones, just a change in your mental health. I feel like everyone is kind of taking a hit.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I read quite often about what, particularly young people, what COVID did to them mentally and socially, because they couldn't see their friends for months and months at a time, and and as much as they really ache about school, they actually, the secret is they actually like school because that's where their friends are, and they couldn't see them, and then so they were lonely, and when last week the Surgeon General said loneliness is now considered to be a mental health condition. I forget his name. Murtha is his last name. But the Surgeon General's talked about how COVID and social media have contributed to a great deal of loneliness. Do you think that translates into some of these abusive behaviors you're talking about?
I'm sure it does. And they finally took notice that really your mental health is where it starts. Our goal would be ideally to catch people up here before they're drowning upstream.
So you're really more, it sounds like from what you described, you're more like maintaining mental health and trying to recover it.
Well, yes, but also, I mean, we would love for everybody to be mentally well.
Yes, wouldn't we?
Feel good, and, have joy at home, have people that love them. But not everybody is fortunate enough to have that. And so with that, or with traumas, whether it be something, whether you're a cop or a firefighter in that sort of situation where you actually see scary things all the time, or it could be something as abuse at home. That kind of leads to self-medicating behaviors,
right? Like alcohol or drug abuse.
Exactly. Even tobacco. A lot of people that smoke cigarettes are because it helps them not be stressed or anxious, or vape, and that can actually lead to more anxiety. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Well, and then I hear about other alternative methods like CBD, and I'm not an expert in that, so I don't really have a comment about it. But I know exactly what you're talking about, because, I've talked on the show before about mental health and how men my age just won't acknowledge it, because it's not seen as acceptable. It's seen as a weakness or whatever. And that's very unfortunate, because it's led to a lot of bad things happening in the home or elsewhere. And I remember friends and my family, my wife, are saying, you might need to talk to somebody about some of these things. I'm like, nope, I can handle it. My dad handled it. His dad handled it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but at what cost?
Usually, I asked the doctor that very question. I've said this before in the show. I've asked them, well, what did they do before they had, medication or therapy, whatever? I said, well, they got drunk and beat the hell out of the kids. And yeah, I could see that, because a lot of my dad's generation got beat. And because that's the way their dads or other people in their life handled things. And so I'm glad in a way that there's not as much stigma, if you will, about admitting that there's people need help, need therapies to deal with the stress of this world, which is stressful. So when you talk about doing these programs, it's really, it's not so much your whole classes about like to do in Ellis County. Do you see that happening here in Johnson County?
Oh, definitely.
That's the goal, isn't it?
Is really, yes. A lot of what we do is we're really looking to increase engagement with the youth and parents as partners, decision makers in the community. We want to raise awareness of the importance of mental health and hopefully break down some of those stigmas that you're talking about, because that is a real deal, especially among our Hispanic community. Culturally, it tends to be an issue because a lot of it is hush hush. We don't air our dirty laundry.
Well, particularly with the men, and that's the men are raised in a certain attitude about how to deal with things, what their role is in the family. And I've had numerous Hispanic students, and the ones that seemed to that I became close with, they would tell me that sometimes the family life was pretty chaotic because the way the men in the life, not just dad, but all the men in their life, handled these kind of pressures. And so it was tough. Now, it happens in all sorts of families, all races and whatnot. So, but it seemed, just from my perspective, it seemed like there was a lot of hard adjustments going on in some of these Hispanic families, particularly those that were more recent arrivals to America. It was a lot different because they're different society, different culture, whatever. And for the men, it was quite a culture shock. That's what they told me. Now, I'm not an expert in this at all, but just anecdotal evidence. But anyway, so as far as the programs, you work through the schools?
Our Ellis County chapter, yes, they actually have YP programs, but they do have people that actually come and do some of the schools here in Johnson County.
Which ones?
Joshua does partake in it. I think their program's like an 8-week program, so they'll come and have a reach person reach staff and go to the school.
You said our 8-week program, okay?
Yes, and so it's just once a week.
Okay, well, describe what that looks like. You're talking about like counseling sessions, therapy groups?
No, they speak to the whole class on different topics, like one a week. I think I'm pretty sure the program's 8 weeks.
So in Joshua, if you take in this program, it is like a class. Is it done?
It's part. They throw it in the middle of the school day.
Oh, really? How about
yes,
that?
and you can opt your kid out of it.
Okay.
My kid actually did it this year because we do it right before the transition periods. So my kid is 5th grade. And so they do that right before their transition into middle school.
Well,
so they catch them on 5th grade, and then they catch them again at 8th grade.
And so these group of kids hear about how to deal with
all sorts of things.
Peer pressure.
Bullying, social media.
There you go.
We got drugs, alcohol, vaping, just really any of the pressures of being an adolescent at this time.
Now, which is quite a bit. In my age, I'm much older than you. Back in the 70s, we had these kind of issues, but it weren't in our face day after day. We had drug issues, we had peer pressure, we had all that, but we could escape it a lot easier than these kids now. It seems like it's so pervasive. And they talk about how social media and phone use in school is leading to a lot of mental health issues. There was an article in the Washington Post this weekend about how some of the school districts around the country are banning phones during the day because they're saying it's not just distracting education, which definitely it is. I can attest to that. But it also is causing mental health issues, that fear of missing out routine. And then so, you take away the phone and they start really literally having an emotional response to it because they're feeling like I need to be online to kind of keep up with what my friends are doing 24/7. And that's not mentally healthy at all.
No, it becomes an obsession.
Yeah. And I saw it. My about the last 5 years at BHS is when, iPhones became very, very common and affordable, I guess, that and the Androids and all the rest of the phone types. And I mean, it was constant trying to keep them off the phone. And when you dealt with it, most kids are like, they'd be mumble grumble and put it in their purse or back pocket or whatever. But some kids, it was like you were taking away, some life support system almost. And I thought that's not healthy.
No.
So y'all address all of that at these. Who addresses it? These are trained counselors, right? These aren't just volunteers.
Yeah, they're not volunteers. They're paid reach staff that are trained specifically for the youth programs.
And they're licensed by the state or something like that?
Yes, so we do take training through the state. And then they also, I believe it's Alvarado South that we just put on board that is now partaking in our program as well. Not all the schools are for it. I'm feeling like time is an issue with a lot of them. They discuss the testing, the state mandated testing that takes up a lot of their time, and it's hard to fit things into the curriculum.
That's not just an excuse. That's legit because it's
right. I've heard that.
Well, people talk about just the testing is like, well, that's 4 days. No, it's not. They take several days out of the curriculum year for prep work or remediation and whatever else. I had to test those tests for so many reasons, and one of them is this. It crowds out some other things that could be very useful. And on top of that, it adds to the mental stress to these kids, particularly the young ones.
I agree.
I hear story after story all through my career. I heard from parents who had like 3rd graders or 5th graders that were, waking up middle of the night crying and stomach cramps and, all this other business because of test anxiety, which is a real thing, even in adulthood even. But these little kids, all this pressure is being put on them, even though teachers tried not to, and administration tried not to, they can't help it because so much is at stake on how these little kids do on these tests. That's a disgrace.
And how are they supposed to do well on the test if things aren't well at home?
Well,
Maybe they don't have a sense of peace or know where their next meal is going to come from. So you know.
I really do think that a lot of people who don't have kids in school, who bellyache about paying taxes, really need to spend a week in school and they find out where their money's going. And they might shut up about it because it's not just we're learning them the 3 R's and how to talk good English or whatever. We're also, for some people, that's their only meal, breakfast or lunch or both. It's the only safe space they have where they're not going to be abused or beaten by adults. It's the only place in which they feel accepted if they're with the right teacher. And, and it really burns me when I hear people say, well, I don't have kids in school. Why should I support it? Well, I can't say
because that's going to be the next people that are
well, there's just so much
leaders of America.
Well, there's just so many.
Our next
Well,
generation.
there's so many benefits from what these kind of services provide.
I agree. I mean, I don't know how they're supposed to do well if they're, worried about the food issues or the stresses at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as far as services BISD provides now, it's much better than it was 20 years ago. And it wasn't because they didn't care 20 years ago. Just budgets are what they are. And you just like, okay, I got all these things asked of us as a school district, and some of them are mandated by the state. You don't have any choice. You will remediate kids who fail. You will remediate kids who don't pass that test. And it's coming out of your pocket. So much of what people think the school is doing because of their own options, they need to complain to the legislature, not to the school board. But I'd like to see BISD take part in your program. Have you tried talking with them?
Yes,
Allard.
and it's not that they're not agreeable.
Right.
A lot of it is they don't have time for anything else in their curriculum.
Yeah, I'll call Dr. Jimerson up and straighten him out. Make time. Can you do it like before school?
I don't know. I'm sure that we could probably do something like that because we're pretty flexible. We do weekend and night events. I mean, me, myself, and some of my fellow coworkers, because as part of the coalition work, we do a lot of activities in the community, whether that mean, talking to people and handing out brochures and literature, information on resources, just talking to the community and getting awareness out of some of these drugs that they have. There's a lot of drugs and stuff that I have not even heard of before this.
I am so out of date, and I still call it dope, whatever. Instead, all the other slangs. So if I need drug terminology, I just talk to Taylor. Anyway,
Whoa!
Oh, he is listening.
I do have the mute button.
Yeah, I know, but
I use it.
Yeah, I am. I'm like, wow, man, I'm really groovy. I'm really out of touch with that kind of stuff. But the thing about it is, I had friends that were in the counselor's office in the schools, and they got into counseling to counsel, but they ended up making schedules, and they end up, having to deal with graduation plans and things like that. And so there was very little counseling going on. Now I know they have, BSD has made counseling of that nature more accessible, but it isn't as available as one might think. And it's, again, not BSD just saying, well, we don't care about the kids. There's just so much you can do with the money you got.
Right. And I believe some of the important things that we do is make connections and find resources that otherwise haven't been utilized. Since working with VISD and some other schools in the area, they come to our meetings, which I feel is very important so we can all know what's going on in the community. But you discussed one of our friends at Mind Above Matter.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, right before the show. They'll be on next Tuesday.
Yes, and the wonderful thing that they've been doing, which I wish more schools, more counselors, they're actually in some of the schools. Mm-hmm. The schools actually let them have counselors there so that the kids can go during the middle of the day,
right. Or
even they can help facilitate Zoom calls or something else like peer groups, all sorts of things so that they can have that mental health.
I know people, I've talked to several people that would like to participate in this. I don't know if they really understand the emotional toll it takes on the counselor as well.
Right.
And so, because they think,
always giving.
Well, and then you hear these terrible stories and you can't do much about it other than be there. It's not like you can change the behavior of a parent who's addicted to drugs. It's not like you can change the financial situation for a family that's under duress. And you want to help, but it'd be really tough. I've talked to several people that think that they want to do that with their time, particularly when they're semi-retired or something like that. As a teacher, I could tell you it's a lot more emotionally taxing than one might think. Because I had that happen. Kids would tell me these terrible stories, and I'd want to help. But as a teacher, I was somewhat limited in what I could do. There's only certain lines I could cross, and I'd say, well, let's send you to the counselor, and we'll see you about 3 days from now, because the counselor is completely booked up with graduation plans for seniors or something like that. God bless those counselors. I mean, I drove them a little crazy sometimes, but it was a full day every day. So you're sitting in this 8th grade class, say in Joshua. Do they have like group discussions? Do the kids open up and talk about these things?
I don't know how in depth they get. I know it's them leading the kids in discussions, but I don't know if it's a 2-sided or just a 1-sided discussion. I've done the Red Ribbon Week, which is in October. We do presentations, and then usually almost all the schools in the area do jump on board and want us to at least come out there and give at least one presentation to one of their schools or many of their schools. So we're really busy that time of year.
I remember Red Ribbon Week. Like I can't say it right.
I know it's hard, right?
Yeah,
it's
but
not
I
just
remember
me.
Oh yeah, I'm going to throw somebody out there that I know that's part of this program at BSD, Courtney Peets, who is the director of medical services at BISD, and which would include these things. I mean, it's not just the nurses' offices; it's all the whole gamut of services. Maybe you can talk with her sometime.
Yeah, we have a couple from administration that come regularly to our meetings and work with us.
But good. I'm glad that BSD is. I'm going to give them credit for trying, even though there's only so many hours in a day, and you do have to teach algebra and Shakespeare and that kind of stuff.
We're definitely working with them to bring some more stuff after hours. It's going to have to be after hours, but we're hoping to have like some town hall kind of things, trainings and presentations and such.
In the 5th and 8th grade, the parents involved in this?
No, because it's typically during the school day. So it's something that their kids can do, or if they want to sign a form and opt their kids out, that is an option.
Does that happen a lot? Opt-outs?
Sometimes. I'm not really sure how regularly they opt out. I know that I wanted my kid to do it.
Well, I would too.
I definitely would.
And I don't know if, knowing my children, would it have helped or would they respond? I'm very fortunate that my children they were the usual teenage angst issues. We didn't have the kind of crisis issues that you're dealing with and what we're talking about. But even those are pretty tough, just the regular teenage stuff going on. But, I just wondered, you provide also like opportunities for parents to get together in a town hall situation, maybe after school or some evening?
Definitely. And that's going to be something that we're going to do a lot more of. We are pretty new to Johnson County area, and so we are slowly kind of spreading and getting our word out because not a lot of people know about REACH across Johnson County and exactly what it is that we do. But we can do so many things. We partner with a lot of other nonprofits to kind of help their situations and help their programs.
Well, speaking of nonprofits, this is a good segue into what's going on in the community. Taylor, you got some stuff coming up on the screen, no doubt. Also, the honey tour is a big one. Okay, Gabrina Daniels and Jessica Pound's been working themselves to a frazzle, make this come off. And it's not going to be just a bike race. It's going to have a carnival and events, food trucks. It's going to be like a county fair kind of atmosphere for about 3 days in Old Town and in the plaza. And so here on the screen, you see the QR code. So check out their webpage and see what you can, how you can participate. Here's a lot of the sponsors. The title sponsor, Gabrina told us, was HEB, which is almost to be expected. I mean, they're really big about community services, but you see all these other groups here that are helping sponsor it. And it's a big deal because there's going to be a lot of volunteers. I'm sure if you want to volunteer, Gabrina would be more than glad to take your name down to help with the bike race. Victoria was on yesterday, and she's part of the Rotary, and they're going to be helping direct the bike riders so they don't end up in California or something like that. But the honey tour is a big deal. It used to be just a bike race, but this is so much more than a bike race now. So make plans for your Memorial Day weekend to try to participate in some of this. Also, we have. This is y'all's, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I was thinking it was going to be next step, but they'll get to it in a minute. Alvarado Fire Department.
Yeah, one of the many kinds of things that we do is partner with other people to help them facilitate things like this. the Alvarado Fire Department wanted to do a safety day. We helped the police department do a national night out, and they were just a little jealous that they didn't have something. So this is their event. They were going to have yard games, free hot dogs.
Now, where is this again?
It's going to be at the Alvarado Town Square.
Okay.
This Saturday from 10 to 2.
Okay, we'll keep this up for Lisa's show on Thursday. Okay.
And then, so we're going to have face painting, music, balloons, vendors, pet adoptions. Cook Children's is going to be out there, and they're going to be doing things like drowning prevention, car seat safety, poison control, firearm safety.
The whole thing. Firearm safety, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Center for ASD. How'd you get them out there, I wonder?
Oh, I don't know. I know somebody over there.
Well, your niece, Bianca Lowry's been on here about 3 or 4 times since
Maybe just a few
Lisa
times.
Boltinghouse, yeah.
Yeah, so she's going to be providing needs about their programs and safety.
So this, what time does it start?
At 10 o'clock.
And goes till when?
2.
2 o'clock. Okay, from 10 to 2, you're going to have all these various opportunities. You get to see the fire truck. That really is a big draw. These kids like climbing all over that thing, don't they?
Yeah, and they're supposed to land a helicopter and have some more trucks. I think they're going to have an electric one that does the arcing.
Really?
Yes, and they're doing a live fire demonstration. That ought to be pretty exciting.
It really is.
And then the Texas Parks and Wildlife, they're doing the boater safety, which, is a big deal, especially during the holidays. Memorial Day, it seems like a big day for drownings.
Yeah.
So we really want to try to prevent that.
There's a lot going on in the spring, and that reminds me, Taylor, do we have the event from the American Legion? Do we have any material on that to post? Yeah, Sanford Mason, and send me an email. I'm going to respond to you, sir, about what the American Legion's doing over at the gun shop, the Chisholm Gun Shop, which is over in the same parking area as Antonio's Mexican food joint. There's a health clinic right in front of it. They're going to have a garage sale, benefiting the American Legion, and they're also going to be putting flags on the veterans' gravesites at our graveyard. And so they do all sorts of things. Also, Mr. Sanford talked about some of the ongoing programs about safety and wildlife and gun safety and things of that nature. I just kind of glance up here for a minute. I'm going to just jump down to the email itself, because it'll be they have classes on from the Texas Parks and Wildlife, and they have questions about hunting and wildlife related activities here. So check it out. There was something here I'm going to send to you, Taylor, that you can maybe throw on there when you can get to it. And I hit the wrong button. I really am bad at this. You know that? All right. It's his card. And so if people want to contact him, there you go. Boom. All right. Get in there.
And also looks like he put his email.
He did. And I'm sending Taylor an email. He'll throw it up there. But so he could get his contact information up there. He took a snapshot of his contact information. Anyway, I'm getting off the track. How about, do we have the next step one? Yeah, well, they're having their event June 3rd, Walk for Life, which is a real big deal. That's their big fundraiser. It's over at their clinic on the morning of June 3rd. So even if you're unavailable the 3rd, I got 2 weddings that day. I have to choose which one I want to have mad at me. Yeah, one's a niece, one's a good friend. So... But anyway, I'll be going to the niece, I'm sure. But Next Up Women's Center, they're going to have a Walk for Life, and this is their big fundraiser of the year as well. So it's a big deal. Megan and Summer were on last Thursday talking about all this. Okay, let's talk more about y'all. Okay, so this event, is it more of a fundraiser or more of an awareness thing, or is it both?
Oh, our Saturday community event is just a free thing for the community. It's a chance for you to bring the kids out, give something to do. It's all free. As far as I know, we're not having anybody selling anything. It's all kind of giveaway stuff and education, safety.
Yeah, right.
So we're not collecting money. Don't feel like I'm going to hassle you for some money. But if you were wanting to give some, I'm not going to stop you.
Well, I can give you a couple suggestions about how maybe you can get the word out, besides, of course, my vast listening audience here. The farmers market is always good, and Chaz is very good about nonprofit support. If you wanted a booth, there's a certain discounted cost, but if you want to just hand out flyers, usually it's not a problem. So that farmers market, you get some more than just Burleson. I mean, people come from a long way for that farmers market, and that'd be a good thing. And also this event with Gabrina coming up, the honey tour. Y'all have a piece of that, don't you? Or some kind of maybe. If you don't, that's a good place though to do it. Is to hand out information at the various events.
Yeah, I didn't check out the vendor option.
Yeah.
We did do City on the Hill with Lisa Schwartz this last weekend.
I came by and talked to a couple of your peers, but you had just left or something.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Yes, my oldest baby went to prom, so I was helping him get ready.
Which prom?
Joshua.
Joshua, well, that's a big deal. Where do they go to prom in Joshua? Do they do it in town or do they go into Fort Worth?
No, they did it at the Omni in Fort Worth.
Yeah, that's about right. Burleson would do it at back in the day at the Ridgely Country Club, and then they went to the Worthington, and then I retired. So I don't know what they're doing now. They may or may not still do it there, but it's a big deal. Did you get teary-eyed?
I did.
Yeah.
He'll always be my baby.
Well, of course he is. Is he your oldest?
Yeah, my oldest.
Oh, there you go. How many more do you have?
I have one more, and he's 6 years behind.
Well, okay. Well, you have time to recover by then. You know.
I have a little bit to mend my broken heart.
Well, I'm sure he's a very fine man, so I wouldn't worry about it too much.
He is. He is a really good young man. And I did want to mention one of the events that we have this evening is going to be in Venus. So for anybody
Tonight
at
Okay.
6:00, anybody that's out that way, the Venus Civic Center, we're doing a fentanyl awareness training and naloxone. So if anybody doesn't know what naloxone is, you should familiarize yourself with that. In the instance of an opioid overdose, it is a reversal. And you can't harm them if you give it to somebody that's not having an overdose. It has no bad side effects.
Well, you know, this has really become a real problem. I guess
is.
y'all notice it because you're right in your line of work, so to speak. But I really don't even know how to address this issue because it just seems like it just swam over us like a tsunami.
It has become a huge ordeal, and it's very problematic because, one, they don't have any sort of regulations. So they just, make it in their basement on their coffee table or whatever. And it's not just them selling it as fentanyl. They're putting it in all sorts of different things. They're they're mixing it with cocaine, heroin. They're making pressed pills. And these look like regular other pills. And so some of these kids, right now, I don't know if you're aware that there's been a nationwide shortage of Adderall.
Oh, I've heard about it, yes.
Okay. And so I've got some Adderall for sale here. But unbeknownst to the kid, it's laced with fentanyl.
Why would they do that? Just pure evil?
Well, it makes it cheaper because they're cutting the product. And it makes it that much more potent and addictive.
People that sell this and
lives.
produce and sell this fentanyl I don't mean this as a joke, are the very hands of the devil. They're doing what they're doing to this society and what they're doing to these people. It's frightening. In my day, marijuana was a big deal. Now, but no one died from it. They may have had all these effects from it that aren't good, but now it seems like, just by a stupid decision by a kid wanting to experiment with something, just one-time thing, and then he could end up in a coma or dead.
Right. And this is not, what you would think a typical drug addict would look like. And it's anybody. It could be anybody. You could have kids over for, your child has some friends over, and one of them have one of these pills, and, one person take a half and the other one take half fine, and the other person could die.
Yeah.
Because they aren't even mixed with any kind of consistency. And they're pressed pills, so they look just like the prescription ones. So
this is the kind of thing you talk about in those classes then in the 8th grade. So don't be stupid and don't take a pill thinking...
And don't trust anybody because not everybody is your friend with your good intentions and good heart.
Right. And that's the peer pressure comes into that,
Right.
If you're not doing it, then I guess you feel left out. And I tell you, that's the worst thing a kid could feel is left out.
A lot of those kids don't even know because maybe they've already taken a pill and they were fine. But the next pill, you may not be that lucky.
Well, it is Russian roulette because sooner or later you're going to hit that one pill that's going to do you in.
Right. There is no consistency with these. Seriously, we had the lady that trains and does these kind of classes. She's been wonderful at helping. We help get her to different places and train different people. And she said that she went on a call. She's a paramedic, I think. And she went on a call, and this young lady had this stuff by her bed, and she was asking about this sort of stuff. And She was making pressed pills right there in her little bullet blender thing. So you just put a little sprinkle of fentanyl, and okay, maybe this one's full of fentanyl, and maybe this one didn't have any, and maybe this one's got 3 little grains.
You know, see, this it's a lot scarier than even when I was in the high school teacher, because I know stuff like that goes on, but it wasn't like something that I was confronted with day after day after day, and neither were most of my students. And even though we do, students and teachers do operate at different levels at a school, I'm not exactly hanging with the crowd, that kind of stuff. But I didn't hear a lot about this. Usually, you didn't hear about this. Now it seems to be like flooding our schools. And, and I was talking with Courtney Peets when she was on the show about 2 months ago, and that's a big deal in their health clinic situation. And so because they have to deal with these kind of situations. And teachers now, I know that as part of the in-service training, I didn't have to go through because, like I said, it's been 7 years for me. But now they're going through fentanyl and drug awareness, opioid awareness kind of situations. How do you tell if a kid's on one of these type of pills and all this other business, and what you need to do? And I've heard of some school districts, not ours, but some school districts where they have Narcan available, not just in the nurse's office, but
we're trying to make
everywhere.
sure everybody has it.
Like teachers have it.
Yes, because a lot of the districts, only the SROs, the school resource officers, would carry it. Mm-hmm. And, you've got minutes before they start experiencing brain death.
When, the SROs, God bless them, there's only one of them sometimes, and there may be on another just as serious call.
Or they may be on the other side of the school, and how long is it going to take for them to get there? These are crucial minutes.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's in plans for BSD, but it would something that if I were on the board, I would consider talking about, because, it's like, like you said, if it happened right in front of you as a teacher, you get on the phone, call for help, dial one, yell for down the hall, whatever. And even if the officer is right there, you're lucky, because BHS and Centennial are big schools, and what if they're, cross campus or in the parking lot or something like that? Oh, well.
Right. And our goal is to make sure that everybody gets trained. So if anybody's interested in something like that or bringing a program like that, please get in contact with us. You can follow us on Facebook at Reach Across Johnson County and get some more information.
I never really considered this. One of the objections, maybe you're going to put some sort of narcotic preventative in a teacher's desk. What if a kid that's not on fentanyl takes it and injects the Narcan? What happens to that person?
There are no ill effects.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Now, when you give them the Narcan, they may not be happy because they're coming out of a high.
Well, but it's saying like some kid thinks it's a joke, and he's not on pills, nothing.
No, if you have a student or someone that you see and they pass out and you suspect an opioid overdose and you give them the Narcan, whether it be through an injection or a nasal spray, and they are not, maybe they're having a diabetic crisis or something, nothing. There will be no ill effects. And those, don't throw them away, because those can be good for years and years and years. They've had them like 15 years and they were still effective. So even if an expired is better than none. And it's not just youth that we're concerned with. Experienced drug users are having this overdose issue because there's no consistency with the pills.
Right.
So they don't know how many milligrams of fentanyl they're actually getting. And we're calling it fentanyl, and we're calling it fentanyl poisonings. Now, because the kids or the people taking these don't actually know that that's even in the drug that they're taking. They think they're taking something else.
Right.
And fentanyl is the name of the prescription medication. But fentanyl seems to be associated with the manufactured, the ones that they're doing on the street.
Oh, boy. Well, let's talk about something more pleasant. What are your events coming up this summer and fall?
Well, okay. So besides the fentanyl awareness training and our community safety day training, we're going to do our Rise Mental Health Conference again.
In October, right? In
October at the Pathway Church. We will be putting out a lot more information closer to time. But go ahead and save those dates. We're really looking forward to it. Last year was our first one ever, and we still feel like it was an amazing success. And
I heard a lot of good things about it. Yes,
thank you.
I really did. I had Sarah Nicole Tyson on, and Miss Tyson was very enthusiastic. But I also had people afterwards that heard about it on the show and whatnot, and I just said, "How did it go?" And I said, "It really was very helpful. It really was a good experience. So I could say this is a great one. What day in October is it?
We have planned for October the 13th and the 14th. So it's going to be the evening. We're going to have like a socialization thing, and then we'll have a speaker, and cross our fingers, we're trying to get a comedy act to come in there. So it can be like a whole little night out to kind of open it up. And then Saturday it'll be like a 9 to 2 event.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's interesting.
And it's at Pathway Church, and it's not just faith-based. I mean, they do have a couple of faith things, but it's open to everybody.
Well,
we want everybody to feel like they can get something from this.
But Reach may have faith-based people, but it's not a faith-based organization.
Right. We are state and federally funded, so it's no way associated with any faith vendors. Yeah.
Okay. As far as financing, though, you are state, funded in some degree, but you do have, private donations, right?
Yes, we are always needing private donations. That helps keep us afloat, because there's a lot of things that these grants won't pay for, won't cover. Food is one of them. And a lot of times,
That's bad.
People, especially here in the South, I feel like we associate meetings and get-togethers with food. And so it's hard sometimes to get people to give up their lunch break if they're going to come sit at one of our meetings.
Well, that's right. In Texas, if it didn't have a casserole in it, it's not or some other potluck, it ain't a church event.
Right.
It's like, what is that scriptural verse? Where 2 or more are gathered in thy name, there will be a casserole.
Casserole,
there will be potluck. I mean, that's just part of it, But as far as other fundraisers, do you do like specific fundraisers, like a golf tournament or something like that, like ASD is doing?
We don't particularly do fundraisers. Most of our stuff is actually giving to others. So one of those days, those pockets will run dry. But as far as right now, we're able to give and give. But yeah, we're going to need a lot of help with our upcoming mental health conference, financially sponsors. We will be having vendors, but we prefer to keep all those as resource items or mental health related.
Right. So it's not just anybody. You'd like to have it that's kind of associated
We're
with
looking for a certain kind of feel, and we want to keep that at the conference, and we don't want any pressure to purchase anything, because this will be a free event to the community.
Did you go to Gabrina's Business Expo in February by any chance?
Which one would
at Pathway.
that be?
It was in late February at Pathway on a Saturday, and they had a lot of vendors, profit vendors.
Oh, that I didn't.
Well, they had a lot of also nonprofits and mental health providers there as well, besides, all the various other businesses they had. And they're going to do that again. That's a good place to
that is a good idea.
There's some things coming up that
I think we had another competing event that day is what happened.
Well, next year, I know Gabrina's going to do it again. She does really good events, and I saw probably about half a dozen various kinds of health related nonprofits.
That's wonderful, and I love to see that, because we are about helping, and we are about working with others in the community to bring that. We are not a competition of any kind.
Well, last September when you were here with the Giving Day with all the others, I mean, it was really touching, because y'all were rooting for each other, and what I really picked up very quickly was the cross connections. I was talking with Next Step, and I was talking with Lisa Schwartz over at Crazy 8 Ministries last week, and they talk about how they refer to each other. If they don't handle this particular lane, they know who does, and they move it over, send it to there. And when y'all 7 or 8 of y'all ladies were here, it was like a collection of friends, and y'all didn't seem to. I felt not one iota of competition.
Right. And we really hope, Reach really hopes to facilitate those kind of relationships. So it's not just about us getting things, getting help in the community, but putting others together. We've found other resources, and for instance, Bianca with Center for ASD, we've referred other people to her, not just for their needs, but there was a group that was looking to volunteer somewhere, and we were like, hey, they always need volunteers.
Well, same with Harvest House. They're on in about 2 weeks. I have Jennifer Woods on pretty regularly, about once every 4 or 5 weeks, and I'll have Debbie Beeman on over at Promises in about 5 weeks, and it just I don't know. I'm very touched really about how many people work in this community for the community's good. During election time when I hear a lot of crap flying around, that's just that. But as far as the 99% of us that live in the real world, I suppose, it's touching, honestly, to see just how many people work for this community. I was talking with Victoria about it yesterday, and other communities have these kind of groups, but she thinks that we excel at it, having groups and volunteers and people pushing the community. And if you don't, I'll let you have the last word, but I do want to make one last announcement speaking of community, and that's my show next Thursday, a week from Thursday, the 25th. I put it out on Facebook about businesses. I'd like to be promoting businesses prior to the Memorial Day weekend and the Honey Tour event. And so if you want to be part of that, and you have a small standalone business, I don't eat chilies. I take their money, but that's about it. Now, if you have an individual business of some sort, let me know, and we'll set up a time. We'll come by with my rinky-dink iPhone, and we'll get you on for a couple minutes. We'll put it on the screen. We'll have a whole day of just promoting local businesses here in Burleson. So if you know somebody that'd be interested in that, or you see it on Facebook, let me know. Now, back to Reach. Always like to let y'all have the last word. So tell us everything. You take as much time as you want, but tell us everything you'd want people to leave with if they hear the show.
Well, I'd say part of what we've noticed a lot with mental health is the suicide awareness as well. It's not enough to just ask somebody if they're okay. Mm-hmm. Call them out a little bit. Say, hey, I've really seen you struggling. Are you sure you're okay? Is there something I can do for you? Because a lot of the people, I've taken the suicide trainings, and a lot of them just honestly wanted somebody to show that they cared.
Right.
It would have kept them just a little bit longer.
Just a little bit
just
longer.
Going a little bit longer, a little bit more. What a difference a day makes.
Well, and one big difference, say, from here in 2023 than when I was in school in 2013, say, I now am much more aware, and I think there's much more available than it was back then. Besides, just y'all, we have these other outfits that are doing similar things. And it gives me some hope that maybe we can kind of stem the tide of all this. But that's going to be a mighty big push to do that. It's going to be hard.
And I honestly just feel that people have started being too loose with that word. Like, I could just kill myself right now.
Yeah, right.
And, our kids are hearing that.
Mm-hmm. I've had a couple students whose dads committed suicide, and they'll never get over it. I mean, they'll function. It'll always be in the back.
I feel like it just transfers the pain from the person that took their life to the other people that survived that.
Well, to say I've enjoyed this might be a little bit odd way of putting it, but I've really learned a lot, and I've enjoyed the conversation. You want to do this again?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. Well,
we always have something new to talk about, I feel like.
All right. We can, after the show's over, we can talk about future dates. I got summer. I have June is about 40% full, but I'm very fortunate. I'm getting some good response, and I really appreciate the community's response to that. So, because I like to think it's all about me, but it really isn't. So, there you are. Thank you,
Taylor.
Taylor.
All about the neighborhood.
Well, that's the neighborhood. Exactly. That's at least what I'm trying to pull here. Taylor, thank you for your technological wizardry.
Always.
Yeah. And on Thursday, we'll be talking about something maybe not quite as exciting, but pretty important, and that's water damage and mold damage. I mean, I think, that's a dull topic until it hits you in your wallet.
Well, I don't know. Lisa's pretty entertaining. I think she'll keep them engaged.
But actually, when they were here before, Morris did most of the talking. And
really?
Yeah, we're used to seeing Lisa, live wire. But she
commands her own.
Yeah, right. But Morris did most of the talking. He's a sharp man. I really enjoy talking with him.
He probably really knows his stuff.
He does, and he just makes sense. And and Lisa's looking at it like, that's my boyfriend. So, all right, I'll see you tomorrow at the B&I meeting, I hope.
Yes.
That's my plan. All right, Thursday, I mentioned Lisa. Next week, we have that business show on Thursday. We also have Mind Over Matter. And then I forgot. Oh, yeah. I have an interesting topic on Monday about voting, different types of voting. And since we just had an election, it might have been useful. So we'll see y'all Thursday morning, 11 o'clock. And y'all take care.
Thank you, Brad.
Sure.